Alright, today is our third mission of this unit. We are still setting up and solving proportions. We're just looking at circle graphs. So a circle graph represents all the different parts that make up 100% of something. So for example, this circle graph is on different people's favorite seasons. So it says, what conclusions can you draw? Like, what do we know about circle graphs? Well, all the percents have to add up to, what do you think? Well, the whole thing is 100% of the circle. Everybody that was surveyed had an opinion, and so all of the percents have to add up to 100%. On this one in particular, there were 4 different categories. There were summer, winter, fall, and spring. Some other conclusions we can draw. We know that the most there was a tie actually, a tie for the most favorite, because spring had 35% and summer also had 35%. We could say that the least favorite season was winter. If you want to make some other conclusions, you could put them in order from the most favorite to the least favorite. You could say that the majority of the circle was made up by this, this, and this. There's lots of different conclusions or observations you can look at. Another word for conclusions would be an observation that you make, some assumption that you're making about the circle graph. So let's interpret a couple circle graphs here. This one says how students want to be remembered. So this was probably a survey that they took in class, maybe middle school, high school. So how do you want to be remembered by your classmates? Some wanted to be remembered as the most likely to succeed or do well. Some wanted to be the class valedictorian. The valedictorian would be the highest rank in your class, like 4.0 would be the highest that you can get. Some wanted to be remembered for the best athlete. Some wanted to be remembered for being the class clown. Some for most popular, and 4% said other, something else, but it wasn't a ton of people. So it says, what percent of students want to be remembered as class clowns? They're asking us for the percent. So class clown was 8%, so we would just have to put 8%. We answered that question. Next it says, what percent of students want to be remembered as an athlete or most popular? So if it says this or this, we're adding those 2% together. So an athlete was 11% and most popular was 5%. So total, what percent was that total? 11 plus 5 would be 16. So 16% of people said they wanted to be remembered as an athlete or the most popular. Next, it says, what percent of students do not want to be remembered as the most popular? So we're, again, looking at the percent. If there's 100% total, the whole thing should add up to 100%. What part did not want to be remembered as the most popular? Well, most popular was 5%. So if we subtract that, that'll tell us what percent is left over that didn't want that. So 100 minus 5 should give us 95. So 95% of people did not want to be remembered as the most popular. They wanted to be remembered for something else. And the last question about this circle graph, it says, if your class had 195 students, how many want to be most likely to succeed? So most likely to succeed was 54%. So they're telling us how many people they surveyed. So we now know the total. We want to figure out what part said that. How many people said that? How many people? So we know we are looking for our percent out of the total. So let's plug in what we know. We know the total number of students was 195. We know they surveyed 100%, and we're looking at most likely to succeed. That was 54% of people. We want to figure out what part of people said that, how many people said that. So we're going to cross multiply. 100 times x is 100x. 195 times 54, cross multiplying, is 10,530. And then divide by 100. Should give us 105.3. But on this side here, we were looking at 195 was number of students. So x, we can't have 0.3 of a student, so we would just say 105 students. So it says, if your class had 195 students, how many want to be most likely to succeed? It was just over half. So if there was 195 total, 105 is just over half. So 105 students said that they wanted to be the most likely to succeed. That's how they wanted to be remembered. All right, let's take a look at the back side, slide 3. This one was a survey of students' favorite subject in school. So it says if there were 247 students surveyed, how many people liked each of the following? So they tell us the percent, and we know the percent out of a total of 100%, so we can figure out the percentage for each of the 5 different categories. So first I'm going to look at art. Art was 5% out of 100%, and we know 100% of people, that was how many people did we survey? Well, 247 people were surveyed, so we just need to cross multiply. 100 times x is 100x. 247 times 5 is 1235, 1,235, and divide by 100, we get x equal to 12.35. Now we can't have 0.35 of a person, so if it's more than 0.5, round up, 5 or higher, round up, otherwise it's just 12. So we have 12 people. This was for art. Now we can go around and do the same thing for each of the other categories. Or this one actually turned out, oopsies, really nicely, because to get from art to science, 5% to 15%, aren't we just multiplying by 3? So science was 15%. We could take that and multiply by 3. The only tricky part is that this 0.35 we wouldn't take into account. So I'm actually going to cross multiply all of them. If you multiplied, use the decimal portion as well. So science is 15% out of 100%. Again, 100% of the people surveyed, it was 247. So we have to cross multiply. 100 times x is 100x. 247 times 15 is 3705. And divide by 100. Is 37.05, but we can't have 0.05 of a person, so it'd be about 37 people. So had we just multiplied by 3, we would have gotten 36. It didn't take that 0.35 into consideration. So next, math. We've done art, we've done science. Next one here is math. 35%. So that's 35% out of 100%. Well, 100% of people was 247. Cross multiplying. 247 times 35. And I'm just going to divide by 100 right away. Eight, 6, 4, 5. Divide by 100. We get, move the decimal 2 times, 86.45. Well, we can't have 0.45 of a person, so it'd be about 86 people. And we would have to do this 2 more times. For the sake of time, I'm going to do it quickly, but you're just cross-multiplying with those 2%. So history was 20% out of 100. Still 247 people surveyed. 247 times 20. So if I solved this one, x would be 49.4, which is really just 49. That was for history. This one up here was for math. So that was math. This was history. Separate these out here. Our last one was for English. Now you could add these up and subtract because we do have a total of 247 people, but I'm just going to cross multiply like we've been doing. 247 people, we're looking at 25% of that. 247 times 25 divided by 100 is 61.75. Now this one, we can't have 0.75 of a person, but it would round up to 62. 62 people. Now when we add all of them up, it might be exactly 247, it might be 246 or 248, just because we rounded each of these numbers because we can't have a part of a person. All right? All right, this last one is where you need to make sure you pay attention because there's one different part here.